Welcome to Voices of Valor, a podcast where bravery echoes and stories of service come alive. I am your host Harshveer Singh, and in each episode, we'll bring you face to face with the real heroes from the battlefields to the boardrooms who have dedicated their lives to the nation, from soldiers in uniform to strategists behind the scene. These voices speak of courage, conviction, and quiet sacrifice. Stay with us as we uncover the journeys that inspire, inform, and ignite the spirit of patriotism. This is more than a podcast. This is a tribute. This is Voices of Valor. Let's begin. Today, we are joined by Colonel Kuber, a true stalwart of national service and strategic vision. With nearly 3 decades of exemplary service in the Indian Army, particularly in the Corps of Signals, Colonel Kuber has commanded electronic warfare regiments and played key pivotal roles in shaping India's electronic warfare. His journey didn't just stop in the uniform. Post retirement, he has transitioned seamlessly into nation building roles in the Ministry of Defense, DRDO, MSME, and various other sectors. As a founder, advisor, and director in key defense and industrial policy institutions like the Sugosha Advisory and also EY, he has become a cornerstone in shaping India's defense offsets and indigenous capabilities. A man who lives and breathes electronic warfare. Let's welcome Colonel Kuber onto this podcast. We're
Thank
so
you.
honored to have you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you.
Can you help listeners understand what exactly is the meaning of electronic warfare and how it's important and evolving in modern conflicts?
Yeah. Thank you, Ashwin. That was a. You see, warfare today is defined in the electromagnetic spectrum. Um, what is important in warfare? What is important in warfare is you should know your enemy. That is the first thing. Khabar dushman ki. So we always say khabar dushman ki. What is the information about the enemy? And the traditional methods, if you see in the First World War, and let me take you back to the Mahabharata, the greatest battle of Kurukshetra. It was all about information. It was an information war more than a physical war. Before the ground troops get onto the battlefield, Lord Krishna, who was the chief strategist in the Kurukshetra war, he actually brought about a synergy in terms of how do you get the information about the enemy. And therefore, if you see what strategies were formed in the evening when he used to discuss with Nakula and Sardev, because they were the two guys who were actually, Nakula was sort of the military advisor to the Pandavas, and Lord Krishna was in all his as a chief strategist, he used to only plan on information. So he was getting information as to where the enemy is, what is he doing, what would he do tomorrow, who is going to come up, where is Bhishma located, where is Dronacharya located, where is Duryodhana located, where is so he was getting those. Although they were a very large army, if you see the Kauravas were a very large army, and the Pandavas were a smaller army, but it was this battle multiplier effect of information warfare that actually changed the course of war. One is a divine intervention. So people say there is a divine intervention. So to my understanding, there is nothing like divine intervention. Divine intervention is AI. Today we talk of AI. What is AI? AI is divine intervention. If you are able to create a type of intelligence which is otherwise not available, and you are able to curate the course of events on the battlefield, that to my mind is divine intervention. See what Israel did with Minawar, or what Israel did with Hamas, and how they pinpoint. So all this happens because of information. So one of the greatest battles ever in electronic warfare is when Dronacharya had to die, when Guru Dronacharya had to die. So Lord Krishna knew that it's not possible to probably kill him. He has to die himself. He's got that boon of that he can choose his death. So what did he do? And that is why he said, Dronacharya would die if his son would die. Ashwatthama. So he said, let us kill Ashwatthama. So you can't kill Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama is also a great hero. So he is also a person who chooses his own death. You cannot kill Ashwatthama. So he says, okay, there is also an elephant called Ashwatthama in the battlefield. Let's kill that elephant. And then announce to the other side that Ashwatthama has died, and we assume that, Dronacharya will kill himself. So Lord Krishna said, okay, this is a great strategy. So let's kill that elephant. So they killed that elephant. And then they announced Ashwatthama Amaraha. So now, who announces? So if Lord Krishna were to announce, they will not believe, because they know that he is the chief strategist. And anybody else, they know that, they will not believe that. So you have to make believe the enemy that what you're saying is the truth. And therefore he chose Yudhishthira. He called Yudhishthira, beta, come here, please announce Ashwatthama Maraha. So Yudhishthira came and said, Lord Krishna, how can I say I am a Dharma Putran? I hold Dharma as everything. I can never speak lies. So he cannot ever speak a lie. He is an upholder of truth. He said, that's why I called you. Only when you say they will believe. So he says, no, Krishna, I cannot do this. He said, no, but we have killed the elephant. You just have to say Ashwatthama Maraha. He says, no, but that's not the complete truth. So therefore, there is a Ved Vivad between Lord Krishna and Yudhishthira as to what is truth. And Lord Krishna tells him, anything that is done in the interest of humanity, anything that is done in the interest of uplifting the people is truth. And therefore he says, okay, I give you your way, you go and announce it the way you want to announce. Okay. But this is the truth, that there is an elephant which has died, and you just have to say Ashwatthama Maraha. So with reluctance, Yudhishthira went and announced Ashwatthama Maraha. Now, this is probably the first time in the battle of Kurukshetra that Lord Krishna did not anticipate what would happen. He assumed that, Dronacharya will listen to it, succumb and die. But no, that didn't happen. A query came from that side. Kutaha kunjaraha vanaraha. Is it the elephant or the man? And Yudhishthira was sure to say it is the elephant. So while Yudhishthira was saying it is the elephant, Lord Krishna blew the Panchajanya. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Poundram Tadmo Mahashankam Bhimakarma Vrigodara Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthira Nakula Sadevascha Sugoshamani Pushpako. These are the conches of the great warriors. So Lord Krishna blew his own conch. That is the Panchajanya. When he blew the Panchajanya, what happened was, whatever what Yudhishthira was saying, they could not hear. That is jamming. Okay. First is information. First is getting the information. That is ESM, electronic support measures. Then processing that information. That is analysis. Then taking a decision. That is a strategic decision. In the C4I2 realm, when you talk about C4I2 today, the US talks about C4ISR. We talk about intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. The US Battle Command is now talking about C4ISR. What is C4ISR? This is C4ISR, what Lord Krishna did 5,000 years ago. So he analyzed that information, took a decision, took a particular action, proved a point, and when the time of truth came, he just blew the Panchajanya. That was jamming. He jammed the hell out of the enemy, and they could not hear what was happening. So everybody thought, since Lord Krishna blew the Panchajanya, there was a victory. And since everybody started blowing the conches, so they could not hear what Yudhishthira was saying. And therefore Dronacharya thought, probably his son has died, and therefore he killed himself. You see, this is electronic warfare. Electronic warfare is, first, what we call as electronic support systems. So in support, it's passive. You don't open up your antennas. You only listen to. You don't open up your transmitters. You only listen to the enemy, and you get information. That is ESM, electronic support measures. And then you do a lot of analysis. You do direction finding. You do fingerprinting. You do analysis. You find out where the battlefield is. You create what is called as the order of battle. All that is happening now. Now, I've told you about electronic support measures in which you receive, you got information. Then we talked about direction finding. where you find direction as to who is where. So, today sitting here in Bathinda, when I was commanding my regiment in my battalion in Bathinda. Sitting in Bathinda, I knew exactly where the crossing is there on the Sutlej, where the crossing is happening on the Indus, where the water is coming in the the various canals, where what is happening in Bhavalpur, what is happening in Bhavalnagar, what that 101 brigade commander is doing. So we knew all this. That is support missions. Now, when the enemy is, we had an occasion. So I'll tell you what happened in Kargil. So in Kargil, this Pakistan was flying some drones, and we didn't know exactly what drones it was. And the air defense was trying to hit; they could not hit. And then they called us, and I went there. I mean, they called me, and we went there. We said, "Okay." They said, "Can you do anything from your?" I said, "Of course, we'll try." And we put our three jammers. We had the UHF jammers, very wonderful jammers that we had. I put it on a triangulation method. And then there was the Sikh battalion which was there. There was a Sardar who was to see this. People didn't believe it. He said, "Sabji maine dekha hai." He's seen the drone. But people say, "No, we can't see it." So if you can't see it, that doesn't mean he's not seen it. So now I told him, "You don't worry. You just tell me whenever you see. You tell me." So so there was a hotline connection that I established. And sure enough, this boy said he's seen it. I opened up my jammers in what is called as a White Johnson noise mode, and it was a combination of sweep and barrage jamming. I used a slightly different method. At that time, I was a major, young major, so I used a method of sweep come barrage jamming, and 30 seconds the bird fell down. So that is jamming. So electronic warfare is about getting the information, finding the exact locations, spoofing. I can take control of the drone, of the drones. I can take control of the communications. Then at the time of my decision, I can even jam them. They will not be able to communicate with themselves. So here was a drone that could not communicate with the ground control station. The communication link was cut off, and therefore it just fell down. This is just one example. So therefore we can jam there. So I used to say at that time, I used to tell my army commander, I said, "Sir," when I was commanding my unit, I said, "Any aircraft taking off from any of the airfields from Sargodha, Mianwali," I said, "I'll be the first one to tell you, because we'll catch that communication, the pilot's communication to his ATC first time." And we had fingerprinted most of the things, and we had a lot of information, so we could. So that is electronic warfare for you.
Beautifully explained, sir. Now, moving on to the next question. Sir, post-retirement, you entered roles with the DRDO and the Ministry of Defense. What prompted this transition, and what was this experience for you, sir?
Okay, so my passion has been electronic warfare, and even today, when I see Op Sindur, I always used to reflect on the electronic warfare capabilities that we had, the type of counter drone systems that we deployed, and how we effectively used our air defense to thwart off most of the Chinese made missiles, which actually failed. So you see, it was a technical war. The war was in the third and the fourth dimension. One was the Air Force, which was waging the war, and along with the Air Force was the space. Buaha. If you see the Gayatri mantra, it is Om Buhu, Om Buaha, Om Swaha. So Buaha is the space, and how much space is there in space? Probably Air Force knows. I do not know so much, but yes, we also know, because we are only dealing in the space. And therefore, when I see, this, so my passion has been electronic warfare. But then, I was posted in the Northeast, and we were following up on a lot of militants and all that. And there was a very interesting phase of life when we actually caught hold of a PLA operative, a very big PLA operative, and it was through electronic warfare that we actually pinpointed, and the rest was history. What happened with Kangla Fort and all that. So then the army decided to post me to the Ministry of Defense. So they said you should go incognito for some time. I said okay. Then they said you will be posted to Delhi. I said, why Delhi? send me somewhere south. I belong to south. If you want me to give me a good posting, I might as well go down to Hyderabad or Chennai or Bangalore or something like that, Pune or something. They said, no, 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 we are sending you to Delhi. So there is an assignment there. And I was, lo and behold, I was with the Ministry of Defense on deputation as the director of the capital acquisition programs. So I was handling all the capital acquisitions of all the three services, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard, and supporting the Secretary Defense Production in the Apex committees. And I had a lot of interaction with the Raksha Mantri at that time, Pranab Da, and and I was also, the founder director of offsets. I started the offset policy in India. The first policy went out of my desk, and therefore this whole thing transitioned for me from electronic warfare into policy making, into creating what is called as the defense procurement procedures. Today it's called the defense acquisition procedure, and also starting with the offset policy, laying down the offset policy, how the OEMs will interact. All these big guys like Lockheed, Boeing, Airbus, Elbit, Ellis, all these guys. So I also did a lot of offset policies with the MiG 29 upgrade. That is one of the best policies that we came out with. The best programs we came out with. The Mi 17 V5 upgrade, and a lot of these programs that were there which were with offsets. Each of the program was close to about a couple of $1 billion. I'm talking only the offset. So that opens up your horizon. And then there are a lot of interministerial meetings that I was in. I used to interact with the Commerce Ministry, with the External Affairs Ministry. I was at the parliamentary committees. So, when the parliamentarians ask you some question and you have to answer, on behalf of the ministry, it's a very different ball game. And that gives you a lot of exposure. And then I took a decision that I should, sort of take a premature retirement and step out into the civil street, because by then I thought, I should be here because of my personal reasons too. When I stepped out, so because of that interaction, what happened was, I got a call from somebody after I was an independent consultant at that time when I started. I didn't want to work for anyone. I mean, either you work for the army or you work for no one. So I couldn't go and work for any other company after that. So I said, I'll be all by myself. Then I got a call from somebody saying, the Ministry of MSME wants to sort of engage with you, and since you have done the offset policy and all that, why don't you go and help? That was very interesting. I said, yeah. MSMEs, I always believed, this is my statement for about 10 years. I started this and I used to keep telling everybody, if India lives in villages, industry lives in MSMEs. And therefore, our MSMEs, this medium, small, micro, small, medium enterprises, are the foundation of the industry. So I wanted that, I thought that this was a great opportunity for me to interact with the MSMEs. And being a part of the Ministry of MSME, I had a lot of exposure and meeting so many of them, trying to push them, trying to create value for them, trying to bring some strategies for them, trying to push their products forward, trying to get them the certifications, trying to get them more business. And that went on for 2 years until DRDO called one day. One of my old friends, when we were together, when I was in MOD, he was also there, a scientist at that time, Dr. Radhakrishnan, and then he said, why don't you come to DRDO? We want to draft a policy on, the technology acquisition in offsets. And if you can come and sort of help us and be a part of the team. At that time, Dr. Saraswat was there and he pushed this whole thing up and he said, okay, good. Why don't you take this boy? And so then I went there. That was a very different ball game, interacting with some very good scientists in DRDO, interacting to figure out as to how do you actually acquire technologies? How do you transfer these technologies to the industry? What is the mechanism in which you do this? Then I found that DRDO was doing such a fantastic job in terms of creating technologies, transferring to the industry, getting the industry to participate in various programs, and that's why today you see we have we have really opened up our industry to where there were only about 30 odd companies when I started in 2005 in the MOD. 37 companies had industrial license. Today it's more than about 550. That is one part. The second part is where these technologies get transferred, and you actually DRDO handholds these companies and creates value. If Bharat Forge is today selling the ATAX guns, or if L&T is doing, Tatas are, so all of them have got technology transfers from DRDO. So many of them, more than about I think 1,500 companies, 1,500 transfers have taken place. That was a very great journey which I had with DRDO, and that was really really interesting because I was also on a couple of technology acquisition committees. How do you acquire a technology? How to value a technology? How do you add value to the technology and create an indigenous content and indigenous manufacturing? So that was a very interesting phase of life. Yeah.
So, so we know that you started your own company, Sugosha Advisory, and then you also joined Ernst and Young. So, what forced you for this transition, or what made you do this transition, and what are your roles in EY basically?
You see, that was a very interesting phase. Um, while I was in DRDO and doing the transfer of technologies, so there was a time that I got a call. I was driving back home one evening from the office, and before I could get onto the flyover, which passes through Radisson, the Maipalpur flyover, I got a call, and the gentleman on the other side said, I'm the defense minister, and can I speak to you? I thought I didn't hear it properly, so I said, he said, I'm Parikar here, the defense minister, and I want to speak. I said, sir, please 1 minute. I'm driving. I took my car to the side. I put it. I just stood on the side, thought for a while, shook my head, and then I said, the defense minister is calling. So I said, okay. He said, I wanted to meet you. Can we meet at a Kota house in the evening? I said, sure, sir, we can do that. So instead of taking the flyover, I took the roundabout. I took a U-turn on the Maipalpur and went to Kota house to meet the defense minister. So he said, you see, I've just taken over as the defense minister as this thing, and we had some very good conversations. And he said, I wanted to discuss certain things in terms of offsets with you. And we used to have discussions. And in one of those discussions, he said, are you arguing with me? And the defense, I said, no, I'm not arguing with you. But I have to tell you what I feel. I mean, this is what I feel. And therefore, he said, okay. He said, no, you're arguing with me. He said, I'm not arguing. I still have to tell you what I feel, and I will always make a point what I think is right. And I've done this before, I've done this now. He said, okay. He said, can we have dinner together? So we had dinner together. And there he told me, you see, I was so happy when when you said no to what I said. Because at this level, everybody only says yes to me. And it's always good to have a discussion, argument. I don't care. He says, I'm a person who believes in open discussions, and he was a very very great gentleman. And he said, I believe in these open discussions. I want people to confront, to talk. Only then we can arrive at an informed decision. So we used to have a lot of discussions there, and then he brought me into the National Committee of Experts, which actually wrote the DPP, the Defense Procurement Procedures of 2016. And that was a good time where we had a lot of interaction with the defense minister. And he saw my passion for the MSMEs, and he said, so why don't you open a company? I said, sir, I'm not in the case of, I'm not in that thing of opening a company. He said, no, if you open a company, you can help more MSMEs. You'll be able to actually add value to the system instead of being an individual. So I took his advice seriously and opened a company, which was Sugosha Advisory. And when I opened this company, we had two guys who just joined us in Bangalore, Chari and Sohil. And both of them were pretty novice in the sense that, defense sector was new to them. So I used to initially tell them about what is the defense sector. Then I said, I'm wasting my time. I didn't want to do this. So I opened up another company, which was the Sugosha Media, where we publish three magazines today. We started with a flagship magazine called the Defense Insights. The idea was that people in Sugosha should write. So I used to give them, okay, write on the make procedure, write on the offset policy, write on the make two, So a different topics I used to give them, and they used to write. Only when you write, you will understand, what the procedure is, rather than me telling you and understanding. That's how we started the magazine. Today we publish three magazines there. One is the Defense Insights, one is the Market Intelligence, and the third is on startups. That is how we started Sugosha. So while we were doing this, very senior partner from EY called me and said, we want somebody to lead the A&D, the Aerospace and Defense team. Why don't you come and join us? I said, okay. I said, but I'm running my own company and I'm here, and we are doing this. He said, no, no, you have to resign from that. What is there in that? You just leave that to somebody else and you come. So I resigned from my own company, which I started. Of course, the MD was still my wife. Mrs. Shanti Kuber is the MD. Even at that time, I was a 2IC. As a husband, you will always remain a 2IC, whether at home or in the office. So she was the MD and I was the CEO. So I resigned from the post of CEO and I joined EY. She still continues, and she's actually taken that company to a very different level today. I'm very happy to see that Sugosha is still doing well. And EY was a beautiful, very, very beautiful part of my life. Again, if you see one of the largest consulting companies in the world, and you go and you have to lead, head the aerospace and defense team, one of the largest consulting companies in the world. It was an amazing experience. It is an amazing experience. I'm still there. And EY taught me a lot of things in terms of processes, in terms of doing due diligence on companies, in terms of how to, you should not go and pick up any contract. So we don't go and pick up any contract for the sake of contract. We do a lot of due diligence on companies. We also see, is that client worth for us to give advice. So EY taught me how to value myself. EY taught me how to create value yourself, and then create value for others. And very, very ethical company, lot of processes. And then I have a team here. And then team, they used to say, "Bhai sir, we'll go and get this business." I told them, no, don't run after business will come automatically. So what should you do? Then it's a good thing for you also. I can give you this advice. I said, Lakshmi ji ke piche mat jao, because Lakshmi ji bhag jati hai. She is evasive. If you run after Lakshmi ji, after wealth, if you run after wealth will run away from you. It is evasive. But then I said, Saraswati ji ke piche jao. Saraswati ji is knowledge. If you go and invest in knowledge, Lakshmi ji will follow you. She will be after you. You don't have to be after her. Wealth will come and search and put it on your lap, because you will have knowledge. You have invested in knowledge. You have invested in understanding. So today my team, we don't go and seek business. Business comes to us because we invest in knowledge. We do thought leadership papers. We do thought leadership papers on variety of disciplines. And today I think I have one of the best teams in EY, in the entire country, in aerospace and defense, with people who are very much invested in knowledge. That is my transition in EY. Yeah.
Wonderfully said, sir. So now, this is a very important question. Uh, you have served as an advisor to various think tanks and companies. How important is civil-military synergy in strengthening India's strategic position globally?
So you see, military is there because civil is there. If there is no population, you don't need military. And military is there to essentially protect, to make sure that the population can do what they want to do. So if you want to do real progress, you need to have a good military. You should have a very sound and a strong military to have a progressive nation. And in this, they too are not different. So when I think of, again, what recently happened, if we think of Op Sindur was the reaction to Pahalgam. If that thing didn't happen in Baisaran Valley, there was no Op Sindur. We didn't even know the name. The name would not have been there, the operation would not have been there, everything would have been good. But because there was a militant attack in the Baisaran Valley in Pahalgam, you had to react. And when you react, what we have shown to the world is when India reacts, we'll react with force. And when we respond, we will respond with power. And that's what we have demonstrated, that we are a global superpower. We are not here to take orders from anybody else. We will do what we think is right. And we will also try to right the wrong that has happened to us in our soil. And therefore, if I were to ever think of, let's say, AI, if you talk of artificial intelligence and ML, the machine learning, I would always think of how do you prevent the recurrence of a Pahalgam type of an incident. So it is not about the army going and sorting out. I don't want that. Army should just remain vigil and keep the nation safe from a distance, and the nation should progress. So today, if you see, the armed forces are being called for all types of events. Some boy falls into a well, there is an engineer regiment which goes. Somebody, is sick, then Air Force flies the C-130s. If you have to get your people from somewhere, some problem in Sudan, again it is the C-130s which come. If there is a problem in the Indian Ocean region, it is your ships which are going on. If there is a problem in the Arabian Sea, again it is your ships which are making sure for safe passage of your cargo ships. So therefore, if you see, if your trade has to take place through Park Strait, Park Strait does more than about 60% of the world trade, and if that has to happen, then the Indian Navy has to maintain such vigil to make sure that there is a safe passage that's happening around. And similarly, in the hinterland, in the Maoist region, in the militancy in the northeast, in the militancy in J&K, without a synergy between the armed forces and the civil administration, I think this type of a progress cannot happen. And therefore, whenever you think of security, you think of security as a whole. Security is a holistic approach which the nation should take, and that security is, if there was proper security, the police had sort of anticipated that there could be a problem. If the police were there, the police had the proper synergy with the armed forces which were next door. If the drones were flying at that particular time, we could have probably avoided Pahalgam. It would not have happened. And I think that is where our synergy needs to be built up more and more closely. Today, if you see your Air India, I mean your Vistara, Indigo, they are flying planes like like today we are going to be one of the largest consumers of civil air traffic. And on the other hand, we have got more than about 2,000 aircrafts that are flying, the military aircrafts that are flying. When you talk about MRO, the maintenance and repair for these for aircrafts, for example, I would say that we should bring in the civil and the military together and create a holistic MRO, which will save a lot of effort in terms of machines, in terms of skill, in terms of manpower, in terms of spares, in terms of time, in terms of capabilities, in terms of quality, in terms of So therefore, this synergy is required for um, your maintenance organizations. This synergy is required for your security. This synergy is required for progress, and therefore, I think this is a very important aspect that you're touching.
Thank you so much, sir. So now, sir, can you please tell us and share some experiences, the powerful stories or moments from your work experience that still inspire you to work and act as a driving force for you today?
Okay, so one of the most important aspects has been how do you integrate the capabilities within a team. So when I'll give you example of when I was a company commander, for example, way back in Dinjan. which is in Assam. And so, as a company commander, what was my job? My job was I was the OIC communications for Northeast at that time, and I had to make sure that my line, my radio, and my radio relay operated in synchronization. And therefore, I used to say, none of you are more important than the other. All of you are, almost equally important. It's not that line is more important than radio, and radio relay is more important than line, and satellite communication is more important. Everybody plays their role in the cosmos. So if you think of the cosmos, all of us play our own role. If the cosmos has to sustain itself, today we are talking about sustainability. Similarly, we come down to our small levels and say, okay, this is what we need to do. And therefore, I had a lineman. Now, I'm remembering this boy called More. So this More was a guy who is to sort of inspire us. Lineman, he was a Naik or a Lance Naik, if I remember, Lance Naik More. So this guy, the way he used to work, so he used to go lay the line, and he found that at that place the radio was not working. So he'll tell the radio operator, the battery is not there for that. So a lineman also is thinking about the other section where he's not supposed to. It is his job. So typically what people would do, they would do their job and come back. I don't care about that. But then we created that synergy where you get inspired by such people. I said, yeah, there's a great lesson I had to learn from this boy. That it's not just one which is important. Then when I went to command my unit, for example, so I said, what is important is how do you integrate the capabilities within a unit to be able to make it the best. How do you say somebody is the best? You can't say I'm the best, I'm the best. Nobody will believe you. So you have to say that, we just need to do our job. So what I did was, one is I tried to make, uh, ease of business, what they call today. I made the ease of living very easy. So I told my boys in my first darbar that I took to the regiment, to the battalion. I said, I'm not going to punish anybody. I'm not going to use the powers that are vested with the CO. What Mr. Modi said in 2014, I said that in 2000. I said, I'm your servant. Don't consider me as your superior. Don't consider me as a CO. I'm here to come to uplift you. I've come here to actually help you grow. I've come here to help your families grow. I've come here to help your children grow. I've come to help the unit grow. I said, whenever you want to go on leave, please go on leave. I don't care. I know how to run the unit. I said, don't worry about me. You worry about yourself. I want that you should be happy, your parents should be happy, your children should be happy, your wife should be happy. So, do you know, the moment you place trust in people, they give you abundance of trust. I mean, people have accumulated leave. I had within the first 6 months 200 of my regiment people who were otherwise, nobody accumulated leave earlier. 200 people accumulated 30 days leave. What does it mean? 200 into 30. 6,000 working days have increased in a year. In no time. I didn't do it. I can say I've increased, but I didn't do it. I just, by placing trust, they didn't want to go on leave. They were very happy where they were. They were happy in the regiment. They were enjoying themselves because nobody is there to question them. Nobody is there coming with a danda. I was not going with a danda. I just went, are you happy? You want to go on leave? No, no, sir. Inspection is coming. I have to be here. So he took. So there is a Havaldar who says, I am the in charge of this battery charging section. I have to be here when the inspection is there. I cannot go on leave. Doesn't matter. So you see, responsibility has been assumed by people. And I think that was a very great lesson for me. I never knew that this type of thing will happen. But I found that everybody will come on time. Everybody will, I used to be late. I used to be the one who used to go late. If it is at, if the office time was at 8 o'clock, I'll go at 8:30. I didn't want to go early and find faults with people. I said, no, I'll go at my own time. Let people come at their own time. I'm not here to find faults with people. I'm here to encourage them. Somebody come late, it's okay. It doesn't matter. I said, it doesn't matter. Relax. If you're late, it's okay. But then he feels bad. He says, everybody else is coming on time, so he comes on time. There's a youngster who I used to love actually interacting with youngsters. So there was a second lieutenant who came to my unit. I said, "So young man, what are you doing today?" He thought for a while. He said, "I don't know what he said." So I told him, "You know what? Do what you feel like. If you want to go for training, go and do training. If you want to write a letter to your girlfriend, write a letter to your girlfriend. If you want to write a letter to your parents, sit down and write a letter to your parents. If you want to just go to the library and read a book, read a book. If you want to do nothing. But have a plan. Say, today I will do nothing. I'm happy." I said, because you have a plan now. Your plan is to do nothing. Or your plan is just to go and play golf. I said, good, but have a plan. My plan, then, what a transformation in this young fellow. Next day, after a few days, again I asked him, he pulled out his diary and showed, "Sir, first I'm going for training, I'll do DF. From there, I will go to the receivers, I'll do the ESM part. Then I want to learn jamming. Next week's actually, in the week after this, I planned jamming. In this week, I'm only doing." Now he has a plan. I didn't force it on him. I just said, enjoy yourself. So now he's enjoying himself in training, he's enjoying himself in learning. He's seeing everybody. So he says that I cannot. So he stays till late in the night. I think these are the things. Like today, I told you about that Saraswati and Lakshmi. So you motivate the team and say, just learn. When you learn, you will do automatically. You'll do well. So these are the things which have inspired me.
Wonderful, sir. I think that is some great advice for the younger generations to learn as well. Sir, this is a very upcoming and new topic. Cybersecurity and AI are being considered major threats in the modern warfare. So, how ready is India in these domains, and what should be the steps that we should be taking in the future?
So I told you these are soft domains. If India is, there are legacy technologies and there are contemporary technologies. So AI, ML, VR, AR, cyber security, cyber warfare, these are all soft technologies. These are contemporary technologies. These are technologies that have come up in the recent past. And I think we are doing extremely well in contemporary technologies. If you do a gap analysis of technologies within the country, I'm talking purely military side. I will not have that type of a knowledge of the civil domain. But if I were to create a gap analysis, if you see the missile segment, on the missile segments, I think India is doing extremely well thanks to Dr. Abdul Kalam, our former president and a visionary, the man whom I worship as much as I worship God. I mean, he is bigger than God because these are living gods in front of you whom you have seen, and there was lot to learn from such simple and extraordinary gentlemen. He had this vision of creating that integrated missile development program, and today you see what happened in Opsidur. He had the vision of saying, I will have an integrated electronic warfare program. Samyukta, he says, we will not buy electronic warfare from outside, as a scientific advisor when he was in DRDO. And see, today we are one of the 5 countries that produces the best electronic warfare equipment in the world. We are among the 4 or 5 countries which produce the best missiles in the world. We are amongst, so if you see the ATACS gun of Kalyani or Tata's, that transfer of technology from DRDO, our guns are firing far more effectively and far more in range than BAE. We have put large companies of the world to shame by doing this. If you see the type of air defense network that we have set up during Op Sindur, I think we have done better than the NASAMS of the US. There was one time when the US used to come and give us lecture on NASAMS, that this is what you need to have, what Washington DC has. They will roll their arms and elves and tells you this is what we need. India needs to do this and all. Nothing. Today we have a very good system. We've got a Prithvi air defense layered. We've got a layered defense system. Our Prithvi air defense system is so good. In some of the legacy technologies, we are still slightly behind because the first world has probably advanced a little more in terms of Germany and US and China. Of course, is far ahead. China is far ahead in terms of most of these technologies. In the soft technologies, I think we are at par. I won't say really at par because China, again, I find them like in quantum, they've already gone up to 50, 60 qubits, and the US is around 40 odd qubits. India is still around 25 qubits, but we are there. We are trying to catch up in quantum. In specifically, when you ask about AI and ML, AI and cyber security, I think there is a lot going on. Most of it is classified, and people like me will not have access to it. But we have access to such information that it is classified and a lot of work is going on. I think if we could go and hit 4 kilometers away from the GHQ Rawalpindi and create a worldwide sensation on a General Electric created facility, nuclear facility uh, in Karana Hills, and the US got into a panic mode, and Trump running up and down, I think you know what happened? Our AI has been very good. We have been able to effectively use AI along with our satellites. Our space programs have been so good. We've been effectively be able to target some specific locations. One more bomb and Pakistan would have been devastated. And that is why the Sharifs and Munirs were on their knees running and begging that we should stop this war. And they went to the US very on their knees asking them to intervene. US said, we said, we will not, you will not listen to you. Then US told them, use the hotline. So all this happened. So therefore, I think we are good in AI. And now cyber security is something, which is, I don't know. The Prime Minister made a statement a couple of days ago that there have been more than, I think, 10,000 attacks or something like that post Pahalgam onto various installations in the country. So cyber security is something that we need to work on because I think we are not working at platform levels. That is, your house, for example, you should have a proper, your own network should be safe. You should have an antivirus. You should be able to check that. I should check mine. Our neighbors should check ours because we don't know what information is being picked up from where. And then maybe innocently I'm talking to my course mates in my group, and that is being picked up by somebody. And lot of such information can be of great value when you put it together at some point in time. And therefore I think cybersecurity is more of an attitude that each one of us have to develop. In terms of technologies, we are, I would say, still a little behind China, and China is of course leading in this particular space, and US is following China, and we are somewhere there. I think we would be better than France, or we would be better than Germany, or we would be there. We would be better than most NATO countries. But then when I see Turkey and Turkey, for example, where the way they are trying to support Pakistan, and the way they're trying to push some of these technologies there, I think there is some concern, and we need to address that. But yeah, these are contemporary technologies that we need to really put our minds together.
Wonderful, sir. So now coming to the conclusion of this podcast, I would like to ask you this final question. If you had to advise the young Indians aspiring to join the Indian armed forces, whether through uniform or contribute to the industry, what would you tell them today?
I really like this movie, The Three Idiots, and you know you have to follow your passion. Nation building is a holistic affair. It is not that just because I joined the army I'm patriotic, and just because the lady is not joined the army she is not patriotic. There are school teachers who are creating such value by their exemplary conduct, by their exemplary teaching, and shaping young minds. I think that is more important. When I think of education, I think If I were to think that is a teacher, a farmer, or a soldier, who's more important to a country? I don't know. Everyone is doing their job. So a teacher has got a specific role to play. The farmer has got his role to play. The soldier has got his role to play. So when I see a young generation and say, of course, I can tell you that if I were to be reborn and if I had a choice, I will still go back to the NDA. That's a different issue because I will go back because I've seen NDA once, and I know that my soul will remember that I've seen NDA, and I think that's one of the best places on the earth. I mean, it's a very different place. It transforms a young mind, it transforms a man, it inculcates some value systems into you. It makes you a man. It makes you a good human being. That does not mean other institutions don't. I mean, IITs create such values today. When I see some of the IIT youngsters, who develop some fantastic technologies and they interact with me, I'm really inspired by them. And what are they doing for? They're doing for the country. I'm seeing some transformative technologies coming out of IITs which are going to be used by the armed forces. We are talking about glide bombs. We are talking about long range glide bombs. We are talking about certain things that I'm not able to disclose to you on the podcast, but they are going to be surprise elements tomorrow in war. We are talking about complete robotics. We are talking about robotics enabled uh, warfare. We are talking about manned unmanned teaming. We are talking about swarms and swarms. We are talking about counter UAV systems. So you see, when that's a passion. If I think, I said, yeah, I should have been in IIT. When I see that youngster, I said I should have been in IIT. But then, I think I wanted to be in India. I've been in India. So it's not, I won't tell them that, you should join NDA just because, I joined NDA. You should follow your passion. And that's where Three Idiots comes in. So nature photography is by itself a passion, nature, sustainable living, sustainability. When you see a Greta Thunberg talking about all this, then you say, okay, there is something over there. But then you see how power gets into your mind, and she was walking into Palestine trying to, you know, and the Israelis had to stop her and say, please don't do that. But after all, there is a war going on. There are two ideologies. You cannot go and thrust yourself in between. So the point here is you should follow your passion. Greta is following her passion. You know, everybody is following their passion. So Virat Kohli is following his passion. That's patriotic. And Salman Khan is following his passion. So, so therefore I think all this is required. And I think when I have to advise somebody, I'll say, just follow your passion. If your passion is to build an aircraft, build it. If your passion is to fly the aircraft, fly it. If your passion is to destroy that aircraft, destroy it. So you see, you have to, either you want to be a missile man and destroy that, or you want to be in hypersonics and do something else, or you want to, you see, it's an ocean out there, and therefore I think you need to follow your passion. And if you love the waters, be in the seas, stop all the piracies. You can do anything. So, and therefore I think I followed my passion. I enjoyed my tenure in electronic warfare in the Corps of Signals, and I always wish that if I have another birth and I knew where I have to go, I think I'll go to India, I'll join Signals, I'll do EW. That's where I am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for taking in the time and doing this podcast with us. We're really honored to have you here, sir. And it was a great time hearing your insights and valuable information. Your words were both inspiring and thought provoking, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ashwin.
Thank you.
Great. Nice meeting you. All the best.